This video and series is about 3 questions that should and will be answered. 1. Is agriculture the main cause of our most important challenges to existence, including of past and actual climate challenges? 2. Is carbon agroforest the key for humans to thrive, to produce foods, as well as to solve all their challenges? 3. Are cities and communities with autonomous grids and integrated aquifers essential for humans-related securities, existence and thriving? These are the 3 questions related to thriving and existence that have to be solved. We can go on without solving these questions for now. We can try to gain time while taking enormous risks, but while doing so, at some point we could be caught unprepared by one or more irreversible collapses and/or extinctions, similar or much worse than when we were caught unprepared by irreversible collapse and extinction in the past, not like in 2019, but like the plagues that involved gram-negative bacteria. Like amongst others Yersinia pestis. While we humans surely had more stable DNA and more intact immune systems back then, such expected collapses could take between 3 and 5 centuries, and shred the existing and in fact thriving economies, cultures, and imperiums, and this probably globally. Consensus today wrongly claims that humans back then were less hygienic, less well-fed, more unaware how to avoid the pathogens than us now. In our opinion, this is mere fooling ourselves, and we will prove this in other videos. For now, it is sufficient to know that the Black Death, the Justinian Plague, the 3 Bronze Age collapses, all started out decades before the detection of the claimed pathogens. This with through Tilling Agriculture Degenerated Soils, collapse of an overextended financial system, and consequential food insecurity and/or famines. So ideally we should solve these questions now, or at least firmly insert them in our agendas. With conditions now worse than back then, at the onset of these former collapses and extinctions, it will not suffice to think that this time there will be no collapse and extinction. This simply because right now absolutely nothing essential is better than back then. What possibly is somehow new since these significant collapses and extinctions is the surveillance and control of diseases strategy that are firmly kept in place by our health organizations. The surveillance and control of diseases was indeed very successful for over a century, and consequently and understandably touted as and believed to be the total solution by health organizations. This surveillance and control of diseases, together with modern medicine, both which our health security in modern times totally depends on, are or recently have been in a perfect storm. This according to the health organizations themselves, and possibly are even on the brink of collapse, this in the eyes of some other scientists. While these observations probably are in the context, they will be subjects of other videos. The vulnerabilities of the health organization's main strategy that we totally depend on can already be understood by the main strategy's name, surveillance and control. This so, because this name indicates that whenever control or the for control essentials like antibiotics present some kind of breach or breaches, we perhaps lose this control to some degree or completely, and possibly and probably arrive once more in an unedited full-blown discontrol or extreme crisis. Resuming, our main strategy presents or already presented failures, but we humans and our media never sufficiently recognized it. A certain lack of healthy and essential interest is clear, because most of us never questioned what the health organizations informed us and warned us for, not regarding AMR starting back in 2010, warnings for a perfect storm and/or dual threat again in 2020, nor about the more recent warnings regarding disease X, and/or the more recently also announced breakthroughs of zoonosis. We humans and our media seem to be frozen in division. We behave as if we believe some miracle will solve what we have been warned for, or will keep us safe forever, without us paying any attention, or at least without active participation from our side in a serious action plan that is acceptable for all, and unfocates all, or at least makes all willing to participate. We hope it is clear that this video, series, and channel propose an action plan that unifies or at least has the potential to unify. In fact, the here proposed action plan does not focus on 1 or 2 challenges or supposed problems, but instead focuses on an action plan for unifying the solution of all our challenges with bringing back the sustainable lifestyle that ever was able to keep us healthy, unify us and made us thrive, and this on a global scale. If a plan has a cost, someone will have to pay for it, and this by itself will divide or even cause conflict. The here proposed plan does not cost, but instead will make all humans thrive in all relevant aspects, including financial and health aspects, and most probably in all aspects and senses. For those who also want to fully understand the plan, the only thing we need to do is to open our eyes for what is evident and what are our potentials, which were proven in the past by our ancestors, more than 12,000 years ago. In our opinion, these breaches that appeared and that we were warned about are exactly why WHO etc. now warns us for a rather undefined disease X, adding it will be 20 times more severe than the former health crisis that started in 2019, that for some 4 years was officially called an emergency. In the case of this former health crisis, the pathogen was very well defined. However, in the now announced and undefined disease X, none of the organizations seems to be able to define or name the pathogen or pathogens, not even if it will be a bacteria or a virus. This by itself represents an additional challenge to say the least. At least for our traditional surveillance and control strategy and our traditional measures that include antibiotics, which suffered their own challenges at least since 2010. It is once again the media that too timidly announces our challenges that did not disappear at all, or at least the media often insinuate it again will be just a virus. But this is not what the health organizations told us and still tell us, and we claim that this way the media once again create a very dangerous false security, leaving us humans ignorant and possibly much more uninterested, and consequently more vulnerable than humans were centuries ago. Right before the historical collapses and extinctions in the past and even deep past that led again to long-time unedited historical collapses, conflicts and extinctions, that as already said, could hold on for centuries. And next time possibly and probably will do again, that is if AMR is not definitively solved beforehand this time. In the past, crises seem to have been apart from each other centuries or even millennia. Since 2014, we humans have suffered an uninterrupted series of health crises where none of them seem to have totally subsided pathogen family or group-wise. The warning for disease X is in fact a warning for lack of control and measures at the same time, and/or for a perfect storm, and not of some specific well-defined disease that can be brought under control almost right away, or at least in time, by traditional or at least known and well-expected measures. This quite undefined and open warning in itself kind of defines that we are in an undefined and thus possibly perfect storm, simply because we also do not have the answer to, or measures to solve this undefined disease X or unedited health crisis, which we did not suffer since at least the invention of antibiotics, this in the first half of the former century, and we most probably have become too complacent about. Now we will move on to the introduction of answers or rather solutions to the above posed questions. The origin of humans lies in carbon agroforests. Recent research has proven that the Amazon forest is not a natural forest, but a long time ago by Amazon Amarin's humans enhanced carbon agroforest. Further, ancestral markers and fossil mouth bacteria DNA prove 1. That the Amerindians and the Americas are our origin. 2. That all humans, Neanderthals and Denisovans, with the possible exception of certain Amazon Amarins, underwent hybridizations or some kind or domestications that impacted our DNA, and consequently are hybrids. This is explained and proven in other videos, by means of all relevant scientific ancestral markers. This video is part of a series, and to be continued.